Hello, everybody, and welcome to another language facilitation inspiration card in intuitive reading. Look at that. The first card just flew out. It's this one. I see what you're saying. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be pulling some cards from here around the topic of connections, of helpful connections in your life. So I'm going to set this one aside, but what I want to do, let me let you know here how you can participate. So if you are interested in joining me for I guess I don't know if I have. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so in this video, this is the intuitive messages video where you're going to pay attention to your own intuition. You're going to tune into everything I say, if I make a joke, if I tell a story, whatever I read on the card, because what I do is we're talking now about connections, and so I've kind of asked the energy, and we're going to do it right here to sort of focus on helpful connections. What can the cards and inspire me to share with parents about connections? And that's what we're going to do. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take this one because it pulled out last week and I want to talk about it. And somehow the universe wants me to share this with you. So I'm going to start that. And if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments and then I'll pull a card for you. Okay. How's that? All right. So this one says, I see what you're saying. And we look at the card here and it is purple when you look at the back. And that means that this is a third eye chakra thing. I'm not sure if it's going to get there. I'll go ahead and read it in case sometimes the colors don't like to focus. So this says create visual imagery. And again, the message from the late talker is I see what you're saying, create visual imagery. I'm trying to think about how this message works with connections because we're talking about establishing connections. And it says here, late talkers create images with their bodies to help them recall things that they have seen. And in turn, trigger the emotional memories of their favorite experiences. And you know what I just kind of got from this is that late talkers who use echolalia to communicate and self-talk to communicate, they are remembering calming, positive experiences from their past, and they are practicing. They want to get back in that same feeling again. In their third eye, they can visualize, I see the movie, I see the situation of when I felt successful and comfortable, right? And so what's happening here, what it says to do is describe the visual images that you experience together. So things that you say, but also things that you see in your mind, things that you anticipate, things that you remember, right? Because that's what visual imagery is. It allows us to use an experience that we previously experienced, saw with our eyes or even our mind's eye, even in our own mental. Maybe you can have a visual imagery experience that you re-experience from your own meditation. I was dreaming, when you talk about a dream you had, there's another example of that. And when you talk about the things that you see in your third eye with the late talker, with anyone, perhaps maybe you have even foreseen, we got this very intuitive energy going on right now. Perhaps, in fact, you yourself have foreseen the future a little bit about a connection you're considering. That's kind of what happened to me. I'm really hopeful that my, construction situation is going to work out fine. I'm really hopeful that more parents will buy my workbook. But what I do is I create the situation that people will want to arrive at, that people will want to return to, And so you just talk about what you are manifesting. That's what this card is all about, really, is manifesting. So isn't that interesting? So perhaps all of you watching are manifesting the connections, the right connections, my next best whatever, nanny, therapist, real estate agent, boss, husband, father for my kids, mother to my kids, whatever. Maybe that's the manifestation that you're working on, the connection that you're working on right now. I'm manifesting connection with capable construction guys to work on my new place, but everybody is always manifesting connections. This is the time for us to use other people. It's not the time for us to hack through and do things on our own, right? What else do the cards have to tell us about helpful connections? Helpful connections. Stretch your limits. Stretch your limits. We got a little green screen stuff going on here. This card is yellow, which is solar plexus. Solar plexus is about your power, about your comfort zone, right? And the advice here on the back, it says, rise above comfort zones. It's time to expand your language facilitation models to prove to yourself and the late talker that you are capable of leading the way to progress. That means that perhaps the connections that you have in your life right now they're limiting in somehow. They're limiting opportunities to create excellence is really what you're doing. Because remember, as a language facilitator, you are manifesting, you are facilitating the late talker to take on more responsibility, to take more effort, to try harder, to change their behavior into speech. That's why you're here. That's your dream. And then once that's done, you can communicate with your late talker and help them learn everything else in the world. But once you get spoken language, right, that's just the beginning of everything you want to teach. And your late talker learns that you are the source of their learning. And if you're stuck in a comfort zone, we're still doing this because we haven't reached 80% or we haven't reached consistent whatever, and you're still modeling the same things, that could be limiting what's going on. Or the lesson, the teacher, the nanny, somebody else is doing stuff for the late talker so they stay in a comfort zone. Here's the advice. Identify moments you don't even want to talk. You don't even feel like it, right? It doesn't make sense to you. You don't know what to say. Identify when that is happening in your life. And you'll identify why then. Why don't I want to talk right now? It's because you don't feel confident or you don't feel like it's going to work, like you're not being heard, right? That's the only reason that you would stop saying something, providing the language models that the late talker needs more than they need. Your job as the facilitator is to provide more than they need. That's what fuels connection. Because when you give someone more than they need, they see you as the source of the good stuff. And that's why you do it. So identify those times and then push through the fear and do it anyway. Because the late talker needs you. They're depending on you. You took on the role as facilitator. So take the opportunity to try strategies that are easier and more fun. Because their reason they don't want to try is because they think it's too hard or too boring or too whatever, right? It's the same old, same old. They want new, everything new right now. So that's a great card about establishing connection by stretching your own limits. Because when you model, I'm exploring, I'm expanding, I'm not stuck in my own same place. I want to see what else is out there. People will see you, including the late talker. They observe how you go about the process. And if you're like, not sure and I don't know, or you go back to old prompting and manipulation habits, like I'm going to make him do it because I need him to do it now and I don't want to wait for him to figure it out on his own, so I'm going to make it happen. All of that is what's potentially blocking your progress and keeping you limited, right? Fuel the expansion. That's what the recommendation is, and that's why you get more progress. Let's pull another card right now. We got, this is the card that I pulled earlier. I'm so glad it came out again. Practice with me. This is an amazing advice. And it is this is a orange card, which means that it is your sacral chakra, the source of your power and your drive and what you really want to do in life. And if you want to motivate the late talker to start to really do things in their life, then you want to practice. Now, look at the imagery on this. I didn't hold up the other one long enough so you can see. This mom is helping this little girl. They're playing with play food. There's no food in there. She's not making her eat. But look how closely they're concentrating on how to hold the spoon. Mom is modeling and she's letting her do it right there. That's building brains. That's building her skill, right? And there's no pressure for you've got to eat this food. They're just practicing the skill of holding the spoon and scooping and lifting, because you've got to build all those muscles and coordination and all that stuff for it. And if at the same time you're worried about, is my child eating enough, or if they're eating their vegetables or eating the right food or whatever, if you got those worries in that, then practice just eating, getting the food from the plate to your mouth with pretend stuff, and empower the late talker to be successful, so that when the real food arrives, you don't have to worry about that part of how it gets from the plate to their mouth. You can talk about whether it's got the right spices or, how good it tastes. You don't have to work on teaching two things at the same time. Okay, so pretend play to build skills that are missing for you. Let's listen to what it says. Practice with lots of trial and error is necessary. Lots of trial and error practice. You don't have to get it right. You have to get it wrong. That way you know what not to do. And I know it's not always the best way to learn through the problems, but it's the only way the late talker is going to figure out what isn't working for them. They want to work what's effective. They want to use what's effective for them to get what they want, what makes them happy, what gets them what they want. That's what the late talker wants to use for communication stuff that's successful. And words are more successful than behavior because they mean what they say. Behavior is flavored by emotion, right? So practice with lots of trial and error is necessary for kids to evolve fundamental processes such as eating and potty training, right? So you just have to practice eating and potty training. It's so interesting. We talked about that in the last video, that those could be areas that you're struggling with now, and that there's a lot of drama and manipulation going on around eating, potty training, sleeping, right? Those are the things that can, and then the late talking part of it is the other issue on top of that. So include lots of slow, repetitious demonstration as you play, both of the physical things that you're doing and of the words that you're saying. And encourage imitation of both the words you're saying and the physical things you're doing by keeping it easy and fun, and exaggerating, make it big and act, be like a YouTube video. This is what I always say is I practice with YouTube videos. I don't have anybody with me, but if I want to do something, I've got a coach, and I'll stop it and do my thing and watch more video and do more thing and watch more video and do my thing. This is what late talkers want from you. They want you to be like a YouTube video. Use some expression in your voice. Tell them things that you do. Use words like watch me, I'm doing this. Use like I did it, like watch me do this. Look at me, I did it. And score, woohoo, I did it. Celebrate your own accomplishments in front of the late talker, so they see that that's something that you're interested in doing when they work hard. It also inspires them to practice more and work hard in the practice, and not just do it because it's time to practice. Practice with pretend play becomes the thing your late talker brings to you. Can we practice this again? Can we practice this again? I want to get better at this. Late talkers are motivated to improve. You have to figure out what they're motivated to improve and use that as your topic of focus. We talk about that in the workbook. The language facilitation, 11-week language facilitation journey to speech workbook walks you through the process of creating these opportunities that the late talker will want to consistently practice. And that's how they get better. That's the only way they get better is with consistent practice every day, 4 times a day. in here, you have the opportunity to create your agenda, your itinerary of opportunities 4 times a day. If you put 4 language facilitation opportunities into your already the activities you already have, what you do is you choose one. You say, all right, we're going to use potty training as the language facilitation activity, and the topic of focus is potty, and I'm going to talk slow, use my language facilitation models, use careful talking, use lots of demonstration, and teach this skill. And at the same time, your late talker is going to learn the language around that skill. It's the best way to make improvement in spoken language is by not focusing on the spoken language. Focus on the topic. Focus on whatever you're learning. If it's eating, if it's walking, if it's potty training, if it's whatever, then you're not, the anxiety and fear of I can't talk about that because I don't know the language about that goes away through your repetitive demonstrations and discussions. And that's how you establish a fabulous connection with anybody. If you want to have your late talker connect with a new teacher, a new nanny, a new babysitter, a grandma, even if they're not feeling connected with grandma and you want to do that, you tell grandma to find a skill to teach the late talker and tell them don't worry about whether they're talking or not. Help that late talker become more independent with that skill. Cooking, getting dressed, doing laundry, art, gardening, fixing the car, whatever, working out, dancing. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're good at, grandma, nanny, whoever, whatever they're good at, they know how to break down and make it easy for the late talker. And they will be excited and know exactly how to talk about that thing that they're good at, that they are motivated to teach the late talker, right? That's how you connect people with your late talking child. Doesn't matter if they've got any letters behind their name or any degree at all or any training at all. Grandpa has been, digging his garden for 20 years. He's got a PhD in gardening. He can teach your late talker best about gardening. Now, he can't teach about spoken language. He doesn't know how to facilitate grammar and all that stuff. And if you try to give him that job, he won't connect about it. But if you give him the job of teaching your late talker how to dig a hole, show him how to dig a hole, Grandpa. You know what I mean? He can do that because that's easy. And late talkers like to dig a hole. And why you would dig it? To put the plant in or bury the garbage or whatever you do with the hole. Why would you dig a hole? Grandpa will tell you. He'll tell you how to do it the right way too. And that's what you want the late talker to respect Grandpa, who knows what he's talking about and sees him as a source of learning. Now, Grandpa knows how to connect because he taught him how to dig a hole. You remind him, do whatever you did with the hole digging when you babysit him and you get him dressed. Do whatever you did with the hole digging while you're trying to feed him. That's how you get people, just through practicing skills, is the most amazing way to connect your late talker with other people one-on-one. Right? And then when they learn that skill, they'll bring it back and show you, look what Grandpa taught me. Grandpa taught me how to dig a hole. Will you dig a hole with me? You better jump in and expand, because you'll have a whole different perspective on hole digging, right? You'll have a different reason that you want to dig a hole, or a reason you don't want to, right? Because if you learn to dig a hole at Grandpa's house, maybe you don't have a place in your house where you can dig holes, and you have to differentiate. That only happens with Grandpa, right? You have all this opportunity to teach your late talker how to be successful with that other person just by giving them the actual opportunity to practice with the late talker and guide them and coach them. And that's it. And then you don't have to coach them about what they're teaching. They know that. They know that. And they will establish the connection with the late talker because they have their own love for them. They know how they move it through. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, universe, for that guidance. That was really good. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions. If you have a question, you're welcome to post it now, but I think I'll just pull one more card. Keep this one short because I'm just loving these intuitive messages surrounding helpful connections. Helpful connections with you and your late talker. Helpful connections with people around you. What are the messages I'm going to get? Maybe if you're struggling with connections, hopefully, if these resonated with you, By the way, I just need to put this up, my typical, just to remind everybody how grateful I am to all of you who are subscribed to the channel, who follow me every week, who watch these videos. I know who you are out there, all you guys. I appreciate the fact that you're digging into your intuition. I appreciate the fact that you're sharing the platform with your friends and telling other moms and dads about waves of communication. I appreciate you. I do. So if you're new, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's an intuitive ride where we ride the waves here, the ups and downs of a whole communication process and language facilitation development on the Waves of Communication channel, because let's relax and have fun every day. You're never going to be happy because there is never an end. When your late talker gets to a certain level, right now, maybe they're not saying anything. When they get to the point where they're starting to say single words, you're going to want them to say sentences. When they get to the point where they're sentences, you want them to be grammatically correct. When they start to say grammatically correct sentences, you want them to tell stories. When they're telling stories, you want them to have conversation. When they're having conversation, you want them to make friends. It never ends. It never ends. The process of spoken language development. We're all still learning. I'm 56 years old. I'm still learning about spoken language development and how to communicate with people more effectively and what I need to do and say to get the best connections, because I'm here to help people. That's my job. That's my role. Okay? So, last card to help you establish connections, helpful connections to move forward with your life. Let's watch my story. I love this one too. So this also is a purple card. Very intuitive day today with the astrology with you. You've got, here's the back, review with pictures and video. And how is this going to help you establish connections? You're going to watch pictures and video of people who you connected with and when you connected, right? This says, late talkers are great at remembering visual images and personal experiences, especially when they trigger big emotions. Record images of your family's activities and events so you can watch them later for your video time. So instead of watching a pre-programmed show, watch your own videos, broadcast them up on your TV, share them on your tablet or whatever, where you're watching your own videos of Joey at the park or mommy graduating. You want to see the videos of your whole family, and then have other people. It's not on this card, but as far as connection, have people who live far away send you videos of their life. If grandma loves to cook and you used to go visit grandma in India and now you had to go back home and your late talker's missing, hanging out in the kitchen with grandma while she's cooking, have grandpa create some video, film a little video of grandma making roti, and have grandma talk to the video. Talk to the child. Hey, here I am. Have her make a little YouTube video about how she's doing it. Everybody's got a device. Everybody can do that. And then put that up on the screen. Look, she's talking to us. Now you've got your own show with your own family, with your own people, and you can connect with them over and over and over again. Every time you watch them on the video, your late talker connects with them, right? Even if they don't live close by. So this is helpful. And what it does is it helps them maintain the connection even when you're far away, right? And it also takes the pressure off of them having to show up for a video call and show off for grandma and do grandma, whatever. You can send video back to grandma of the late talker waving to the camera and saying hi to grandma, because grandma has given that model in her video. And while you're watching it, you wave and say hi to grandma right there. Now, grandma can't hear it right then, but it doesn't matter. She'll feel the connection. She'll feel the connection because we're all connected like that. And that's how you use the intuitive part of it. That's why this is purple, right? Because you're using your memory. You're using your visual memory of, yeah, I remember being in that place. I remember being in that feeling with that person. So retell the stories of the events in detail, reviewing the vocabulary again and again and again if you need to. Review the vocabulary for the items that you see. Oh, there she's got her special blue spoon that she always uses to stir, or what grandma has, right? And the actions, how she does it. Oh, look, she's doing it. So, because remember, the person you're watching on the video does things their own way. That's like me, you watch me. And yeah, review the vocabulary for the items, actions, and feelings that you recall as you watch them together. Just use it for a review of your experiences. And then you got the stories to tell about that experience, and then you create new ones and send them back. And these are the intuitive messages that I have for you, everybody, regarding connection on the Waves of Communication platform. It's all about connection. Connection is the first thing you need to establish, and then the language will come, because your connection, you'll be teaching, you'll be integrating, you'll be socializing, because naturally you'll know what you need to teach, and you'll teach it because you're motivated and excited to help facilitate evolution. And that's what a true language facilitator does. And I know you watching me right now, you are a true language facilitator, especially if you stuck it out to the end of this video. So thanks again for joining me today, everybody. Don't forget to visit wavesofcommunication.com. My name's Marci Melzer. I'm an intuitive language facilitation coach and consultant, and I help parents all over the world teach their late talking kids how to move from nonverbal communication behaviors, scripted language, no matter what they're using that's not effective yet. Just they're not effective yet. That you can facilitate the spoken language you're looking for with the language facilitation resources we have. And you can visit wavesofcommunication.com to learn about all of that. So thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow for a really exciting video about echolalia and self-talk, where I'm going to be giving you some massive strategies you're going to be able to use if you're stuck in that situation. So I'll see you soon on the next video. Until then, all the best. Bye for now.